I always give you some time to look over the material, record it, and eventually review it should you need. As always, every single week, I'm gonna give you assignments and deliverables. A lot of the assignments deliverables are around reading over the materials, understanding what they are all about, and eventually doing it. So thank you guys for being a part of this class. I really am excited to have you guys as always. Always fun class to teach. And in today's conversation, I want to talk a little bit more about the foundations of how we formulate a business. Okay. So there's a lot of businesses out there. Okay. And businesses come in all shapes and sizes. Some businesses are very small, some businesses very big, some businesses require more technical skills. Others, of course, they're in the early infancy. So you have like a mix of so many different businesses all around our society, and they do a lot of things for us. They do a benefit for society, whether they are, for profit, not for profit, government, private, financial, non-financial, industrial, non-industrial, service, goods, you name it. It does give something to our society, right? Whether you enjoy the company or not, I mean, that's your own thing. But for many of our companies, they are there for giving something according to them that there's a demand. Even though sometimes you may not always think about the company as being ethical, which is fine. It's a very legitimate conversation to have. But in most cases, the companies see that there's a market. Okay, so whether you're selling, you know, candies, which might not be good for your teeth and for your diet. I mean, candies is a market out there. Okay, people like candies, and almost every place, even in our campus, we have vending machines almost on every floor. We got cafeteria. They sell candies, okay, gummy bears and chocolate and all these other items. So you have companies that they look at that demand for it, okay? So meanwhile, when you start to look at demand, you start to realize demand is coming from somewhere else, okay? And when you build that demand for a company, you have to create the foundations of a business. So that's where our conversation is today. The idea that, when you create a company, the company is going to operate successfully. And the goal is that they want to operate in different departments because we have to tell people that the product exists. We have to operate it properly. And eventually, we have to make sure that we are surviving financially. Okay. We may have the best product, but nobody knows about it. We need marketing. We may have the best product, but we're not managing our money very well. Accounting and finance. We have the best product, but the quality is pretty bad. Operations. Okay. So all these different departments we have, all these individuals that work for the company, they do something in productivity that creates a interesting item, a final item that we usually consume. So the way we see a lot of times the foundation of a business is in our lecture for today, we're going to describe the concepts of stakeholder management. Who are the stakeholders? We're going to find out and identify the stakeholders and the people in the group of stakeholders that are relevant to an organization. We're going to look at them and understand what they do and how they do it. And stakeholders can be about anybody. Okay, so when you look, for example, at Centennial College, we are a not-for-profit, government-run organization where we give a service of community colleges. Our goal is to make sure that within our community, we supply the community of Scarborough with an education. Okay, so the education, of course, allows people to come into our facilities, get trained, get an education, and eventually develop their communities. Okay, that's the idea of what Centennial College gives. Okay, so we have to describe the concepts around that, and we have to talk a little bit about how to be able to apply different macro business environments and different models in the industry, and make sure that every industry is different. So we want to make sure that we can fulfill the market as we need be. So our goal is to explain the key terms related, especially in our lecture today, about how entrepreneurs are made, where do entrepreneurship comes from, and profits and revenues that exist within the company. So the question I have for you guys before we start our class, are any of you guys entrepreneurs? Have any of you guys been interested to start a company? Any? Okay. I mean, yeah. Go ahead, Abigail. Is Abigail a entrepreneur?
Well, back in the Philippines, we had some businesses. So especially in my family, because we've been running since I was young, my family has been running like a micro lending business in our province.
Okay.
So I want to make sure to get that legacy possibly when I
Okay.
get to the Philippines. So of course, we've been helping out some farmers there whenever they need, money to support their farming. So hopefully in time, of course, since I'm already uh learning a lot with the business now, so I would want to make sure to utilize this platform.
Awesome. All right. Good stuff. Okay. So it's a micro lending business, private loaning business that you
Yeah.
done back home. And definitely, there might be an option. Hey, why don't we bring that kind of operation to Canada? Okay. So there are always going to be something interesting. And definitely, a lot of you guys might have talked about, maybe seeing something that could be better. Okay. And at the end of the day, you decided, well, could we develop this product to make it a little bit better, a little bit sharper, a little bit nicer? We could. Okay. And that's the idea of what entrepreneurship is. Okay. And in some cases, it doesn't mean you have an idea yet. Okay. That happens a lot of times. And sometimes you may want to get experience. Okay. So a lot of people that I've met who even have a restaurant, they actually they weren't born into the restaurant per se, meaning their parents did not own a restaurant. But the way they got into a restaurant was that when they were 16 years old and they were allowed to work, they started working at a restaurant. Okay, so they started learning the operations of the restaurant. They started learning how to buy food, how to cook, how to market, how to make sure that everything is running smoothly. Okay, so the idea here is that they want to make sure that when you build that experience, you start to learn and say to yourself, well, you know what? I can be able to do that altogether. And, Abigail's story is very interesting because there might be a situation where possibly in her family, somebody was working at a bank and know finance and know how to make a contract. So they said to themselves one day, hey, you know what? Let's go out there. Again, I'm not sure about Abigail's family story. I'm just assuming.
Yeah. Well, I would say my mom is really, a business-minded person.
Right.
She never had opportunity to go to the college because of, you know, uh, back in her days, they don't have that fund. So technically, when she rather had the opportunity to have that money, um, she had like the fruit. It's a boom when they had the fruit selling business back in their province. And when she had the funds, she started her micro lending business, and then she already left the fruit selling business and focused on the micro lending.
All right, perfect. Okay, so she went from one industry to the other. Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
But she
that's right.
okay, awesome. But she got experience there, and that's what a lot of people do. Like they go out there maybe 10, 15 years. They learn from their industry, and then they
Yeah,
say to
that's
themselves,
right.
yeah, and then they start to say to themselves, hey, you know what? Let's go build a company and eventually see if there's any success within the company. So that's an awesome story to tell. But now let's, of course, when we start to look at, success in any company, a good example I can give you is a success of Apple. A lot of guys know Apple as the founder, and of course, both the founder Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak succeeded in an area where many people actually failed. Okay, so a lot of times people went into a company like Apple and so forth, and they realized, you know what, innovation comes in different forms, different sizes, but you want to make sure that you're doing a good job altogether. And a good example of that is to make sure that with Apple. Apple flourished, especially while some many young companies actually did not do well. Okay. So when you look at Apple's story, they wrote a lot of books about it. There was a lot of failure going on. Okay. There was many possible scenarios and many possible situations where, they could have been bought out. They could have simply been a fad. Something could have went wrong. Okay. So it's almost like, being at the right place at the right time and with the right connections and making sure that you can succeed. That's the whole idea of the success of just any company in reality. But there has to be more to that. Okay, we cannot just assume that I'm going to spend millions of dollars in an industry and assume that I'm going to get some returns. So when you talk about the scenarios that they had, there was possible factors in which Apple was pretty good. First and foremost, for those who are using Apple products, they always talk about the superior product. Okay, a lot of people they like the fact that they have a Apple phone, and the Apple phone, the iPhone is such a amazing product, amazing service that they always stuck into it. Okay, they always related back to it. So when there's another company, they simply said, that company, whether it's LG or Samsung or Motorola, it doesn't give the superiority of the operating system in Apple. Okay, so there's something that drives the customer to the Apple idea. Same thing, of course, with the Apple MacBooks. It's a whole new game. It's a whole new ball game for many of the users. Myself, I'm not a big fan of Apple myself. Don't get me wrong. But Apple came out of superior products. Okay, when they created the early Apple computers like Apple One, Apple Two, the Macintosh, the Apple, or most recently the iPod and the iPhone and the smartphone. Sorry, smartwatch. Sorry, smartwatch. iPhone is a smartphone. Forgot about that. They definitely created a niche in the market and a demand out there, which was the most important item. So we got the fan mail from a good evening prof, number 3012. I guess that's the student number, but I'm not sure who this student is. Good evening back. So they also looked at having, of course, dedicated employees. And, you have to basically explain a company to somebody who's trying to work for you. And at the end of the day, that person is going to hopefully increase your sales, your revenue, your sustainability. But you have to explain to them what you meant when you started this company. So it becomes very, very critical because, when you go out there and you go and find a position or a job, it becomes increasingly important that you have dedicated workers. Now, don't get me wrong, workers are attracted by a lot of things. But when you think about the top items that they're always attracted to, hands down, it's the money. Okay. It is simply the money that they get. Okay. It's simply the fact that whenever you look at some of these scenarios, it comes down to profits. Okay. And it comes down to having success, having a back end in your product, and eventually having something that resorts to a more sustainable, more attractive product at the end of the day. Okay. So again, dedicated employees is very important, but again, employees care a lot about the money, and unfortunately, you'll see and hear a lot of times that some of the workers they leave. They simply leave the company not because they don't like the company, but they look for other opportunities. So in a market like computers, it's very, very simple for many companies to hire employees, train them, and then the employees simply leave the company. They leave the company to another organization, and within that organization, they're either getting a better position, they're getting a better title, they're getting better pay, and it's very, very frequent, especially in an industry that's very tight when it comes to innovation. Okay, so when you see Apple, Apple was created in California. Okay, the Apple company, but when you look at Apple itself, there's so many players around them that also create a success. there was Xerox and Texas Instruments, Microsoft and IBM. All these companies were in the same area, what you call the Fernando Valley. And all these companies in the Fernando Valley in California, which now we refer to as the Silicon Valley, they were all there and they were looking to make something big. Okay. So that's where a lot of people were attracted to. A lot of people went into the Silicon Valley in the hopes that they're going to create some innovation. But with the dedicated employees, meaning that somebody in from Canada or somebody from another country is gonna fly all the way to California to find a job. It's not that easy because again, you might work at a company today and tomorrow they might go out of business. So a lot of times when we look at something that's very important, management willingness to take calculated risk and the engagement of the managers is very important. Okay. It's almost like anything you do in life, whether it's going to the front lines in a war, whether it is going to play sports, whether it is going to make an impact on society, everything around us has to have some good management. Okay. A coach manages a team. Okay. And the coach that manages a team, they manage a team to a certain point that they want to create a successful team. They want to create a team that knows exactly about their mission, their strategy, and eventually their biggest goal, the biggest opportunity out there. Okay, so a lot of times it's all about being in the market at the right place at the right time. Again, what would happen if Steve Jobs decided on the same kind of idea that I had about a restaurant? Let's get experience first and then make a restaurant. What happens if Steve Jobs went out there and said, let me get a job at IBM, see what the market is, and then in 10 years from now, which now is in the early 80s, I'll see what to do. Okay. By the early 80s, you have so many different saturated markets that it becomes impossible to get in. Okay. So we always see being at the right time, being at the right location does help. Another important factor that I want to talk about is the entrepreneur himself. Now, Abigail's mother was an entrepreneur, but when we look at the entrepreneur himself, Steve Jobs, he had previous experience at not just Apple, but he used to work at Atari. He used to work himself at Hewlett Packard at one point in his life. He had unprecedented drive in his success and hardline reputation with the staff. Okay, so when we talked about management, Steve Jobs really was really hard on the individuals. The individuals, he was telling them what his vision was of, say, the Apple II, the Macintosh, and all these other products he was making. And then they brought it to him and he would tell them it's no good. So when you work with somebody like Steve Jobs, you're having somebody who has a hard drive, a hard line, and you have to be really thick-skinned. So if I tell you you're getting a really bad mark, you have to take that and say to yourself, well, am I getting assaulted by the bad mark? Is the teacher hurting me about the bad mark? Or is the teacher, making my life a little bit harder? And what you have to decide here is you have to decide, well, based on what the criticism is, what can I do better? And for a lot of people who worked at Apple early on, they couldn't take his criticism. They left. They simply left. They said to themselves, listen, I don't feel comfortable working in this office environment. You're very strong. You're very motivated, but you're also giving me really harsh criticism. So they resigned. They simply resigned, not because they don't like Steve Jobs, but because it was a very hard place to work. So a lot of them decided to leave. They ended up going into other companies, possibly starting their own company. Irregardless, Steve Jobs lost a lot of people, maybe good people, we don't know, that could have been helpful for his market. So the question now is when we look at profits and when a company makes profits, especially in the foundation of business, the question is who makes a profit in a company? And the answer is a lot of profits, they're basically the revenue left over after bills are paid. So when we look at profits in a company, you have what we call the margin, okay? And a lot of times when you look at the margin, okay, a lot of times individuals profit from it. So whenever, for example, we're selling a product, If we sell a product for like $100, okay, but after we pay the employees, after we pay our rent, after we pay our dues, we make that product for about $80. We sell for 80, we make it for $80, sell it for 100. That $20 becomes profit. So the question now is, as an entrepreneur, like we saw with Steve Jobs, what exactly are you going to do with the profit? And the answer is you could do quite a lot with it. Okay. Profits basically are after what we paid for. So the question is, when you look at profits, individuals profit from it. Sometimes when you look at social educational services, for the need of the public, not for profits, they also make profit. But at the end of the day, they also have to make charity. Okay, so for example, like our school, and other things like Canadian company like Habitat for Humanity, the Boys and Girl Club of Toronto, the Sierra Club, the Red Cross, Centennial College, they're not for profit. So what that means is that when we sell a product for $80, we sell for $80, but anything over $80 is not a profit. It has to go back into our charity, into our not-for-profit. Okay. So when you think about our school, you guys are paying a tuition, and to pay your tuition, we have to make sure we're paying the fees. We have to make sure we're paying the instructors, not just myself, but other instructors. We want to make sure you have a clean environment. We want to make sure we paid our bills so that we can have Zoom, we can have licenses agreements with other companies. And at the end of the day, our goal is that, regardless of what the students pay, we charge them based upon surviving without any profits being given in. Okay. So a lot of the time when you look at it, you say to yourself, well, if Centennial College is not making any revenue, how they're surviving? We are making revenue, but we're making it at zero. Okay, meaning that we're not putting we with the profits that we take in, we regurgitate back into our organization, and eventually we do things like do new projects, build new operations, and eventually expand. Okay, so for example, when you look at a not-for-profit company, for example, let's say you want to start a charity of some sort. There's a cause that you may be experiencing a little bit more. The idea of the cause is that whenever you look at some of the things that you want to start, you may want to say feed the children or take care of the homeless, whatever it is. You can start your own not-for-profit business, and if you register as a not-for-profit, a lot of times, you ask yourself, well, I'm running the business as a not-for-profit. How do I make money? And the answer is very simple. You possibly will get, let's say, $100. I will give you a charity for $100. And because you have to do paperwork, because you have to give me a tax receipt and so forth, all these things require you to be able to eventually work in a way in which you are able to do all the operations and still take $100 and put it in the charity. But in reality, you still have to get a wage. Okay, so let's say if your wage is whatever the amount is, you're going to get a partial of that wage. And to be honest, in some of these not-for-profit organizations, the wage is very, very high. Okay. So, for example, if you work for not-for-profit, you get, let's say, $60,000, but your not-for-profit made $100,000 this year. Okay. So, what that means is that the whole community, the stakeholders, gave you $100,000. 40,000 was for the charity. 60,000 included your operating expense, your income, all the necessary elements, and anything that goes into your operation. Seeing that you're looking for a salary, it's all your salary. $40,000 will go to your trust fund or your charity. Okay. So this is nothing new, okay? When you look at not-for-profit, there's so many things that could be labeled as not-for-profit, which includes public schools, okay, community colleges, any charity organizations that are registered, and even religious groups. So if you want to start, for example, a mosque or a church or a synagogue, you would need to be a not-for-profit. Okay, so a lot of times the membership is a not-for-profit. It goes in, and let's say every year you have to pay to go to church $180. $100 would go to operate it. $80 would go to the priest. Okay, so those things are available for us. But in reality, in profits, whatever you made beyond $180. So let's say I given you $200, you can pocket that $20. Whereas if I did give you $20 for your church, you take that and use it for something important, like renting a bus, doing barbecue, all these other major items altogether. So again, when we start to look at stakeholders, everything around our environment could be labeled as a stakeholder. Not every stakeholder sees the business the same way. However, pleasing stakeholders is always a big challenge. Okay. So when we start to look at stakeholders, there are a variety of stakeholders in every business, and some of them are directed to us, some of them are not. Okay. So, for example, you are the company, and the public is your stakeholder. Okay. So, when you look at Centennial College, we are located in our main campus in in Progress Street and Markham Road. And what that means in the easiest terms is that we have customers. You are customers because you are students. You pay tuition. However, the public around us is also affected. Whether, for example, students are driving recklessly, it does affect the community. It's their safety. Whether students, need a job and go across the street to say the keg or McDonald's or the mall and apply for a job, it affects the community. Okay, because community knows that if I start my own company, I know I can get a lot of students to help me. I know I can get a lot of students to support me. Okay, so as a customer, we you are part of the Centennial community. And in Centennial, in order to run a successful college like we are, we have employees. I'm an employee. Okay. I'm an employee, but I have a position in the company. The position is I'm part of faculty. I'm in the faculty of business. And the goal for me is that I have to deliver a class. For example, BUSN 119. And you guys are the customers. Okay. But around us, we also have suppliers. Suppliers who give us, for example, food, even though it's not directed at what we do best. People are hungry. People want to eat when they're at school. We give them food. People want a clean environment. We give them that option as well. People want a peace of mind. We give that as well in our school. So everything has to do with how to make sure that our whole success story is going to be figured. And there's so many people that are directed to it on our success. Some people are not. But the idea here is in a business, you have customers, you have vendors, you have employees, landlords, and stakeholders and bakers, funders that are connected directly with the company. Because if, for example, the business goes out of business, vendors will ask for money, and landlords would be like, "Well, we need to find a new tenant." Okay, bankers are going to look for their money back because they're taking a loss, and there are going to be a variety of different stakeholders that we have to include. Then, of course, we have other stakeholders that are not directly but indirectly affected. So the general public is affected. Okay, so again, with the general public, let's say they want more educated workforce, and that's what Centennial College does. Centennial College creates educated people, and the educated people would be able to go beyond our community, go downtown, and deliver this class. Okay. So this helps us. This allows us to become more efficient. The environment in various government positions allows us to be a little bit more assertive. And not every stakeholder sees the business the same way. Pleasing stakeholders is a very big challenge because, again, you know, if, for example, students are, going and loitering or littering around our community, the public needs to know that this happens, but we have to make sure it doesn't happen. And with our suppliers, we use, for example, a product called D2L. A lot of you guys may not know what D2L is, but I'll tell you. Only you guys I'll tell, not the other students. D2L is ecentannial. Okay, ecentannial is something called LMS. LMS, L.M.S, stands for Learning Management System. And as a result, the learning management system allows us to communicate with each other. Now, I've been in the game for about 8 years now, teaching at Centennial, teaching at other colleges as well. And I've seen their LMS systems. Some of their LMS systems are a disaster. Some of them really good, even better than ours. Okay. So when we look at our suppliers, if we don't find the right suppliers, it could be a problem for your success. Okay. Because I've seen students having a hard time submitting a subject, having a hard time understanding it, and so forth. Okay. And we also have, of course, the government, because, government create policies for us. They're directed at us, but we can dictate our success. Okay. And eventually the environment is out there. The environment tells us, we're not forcing people to come to our community colleges, but we allow them to join it. And if the demand goes up, the environment says more and more people would like to attend college, and as a result, we have to make a demand out there. And as you saw, I'm not sure if you did see it, but you guys are the first. I mean, if you started this semester, you guys are the first semester to be able to access the new building. Have you guys seen a new building yet? Building A, state of the art, lead building, fancy. Well, maybe not yet. Well, maybe sooner or later you guys will have a class there. But the A wing is impressive. It's really nice, state of the art, and there's a reason why we did it. Because so many things in our bubbles here, government said to us, you're building, I will give you a fund for it. Customers are growing, clients, tuition, students who pay tuition, that's growing as well. The environment says, more and more students want to go to post-secondary education. And employees said, you know what? I want a better environment. So as a result, we created a new wing. All right. And that's the idea of the challenges. The challenge is perfect. Nona Uzma said she had a class there. Awesome. Nuna. Very nice location too. So all this together makes us relate back to how we see our operation and eventually how we make it much better. Okay. All right. So the functional areas in most generic companies is that when you look at a generic company, the functional areas of a company is that most of the time you have to have these 6 major areas, and we'll kind of talk about them one by one. Now, the first thing you look at is human resources. What do human resources do? Very simple. They hire people, they fire people. So they do good, they'll put you on a job, but they could also let you go. But in between hiring you and eventually firing you, if that need be, they also have to train you. They have to create a title for you. They have to make sure you're getting paid because it's illegal if you're doing work and they're not paying you. They have to make sure you're compliant. They have to make sure you're trained. They have to make sure that everything is running smoothly, and they have to monitor you. So in human resources, there's somebody in a department that controls the resources of human beings in a company. So they bring in workers that they see qualified. They agree on a contract. They want to make sure that if you're supposed to get paid $15 an hour, you will get paid $15 an hour. And at the same time, when you get paid $15 an hour, you have to produce, according to their analysis, $150 worth of goods. Okay? That's how it works. And human resources has to monitor it. Okay? If you're performing really good, they'll recognize you. If you're performing below, they'll talk to you. Okay? And that's what human resource does. Operations, basically, even in our school, operation looks at making sure that our day-to-day operations, opening the class, closing the class, making sure that eCentennial is working, making sure that I'm being monitored, making sure that the classes are clean, bathroom are clean, and everything is running perfect is the operation. The operation tells us that we're operating properly without any given problem. We're doing things correctly, and eventually we're doing it holistically without any problems altogether. And beyond the operation, there's also marketing. Marketing is all about sales. We have to tell people we exist. Okay. Think about when you entered our college, how in the world do you know we existed? Okay. You had a website. We had brochures. You can attend our open houses. There's billboards everywhere. If you take the TTC, you'll see it all the time. Okay. Get ready for a challenge. Challenge accepted. That's our motto. We tell people we exist. We tell people we're alive. We tell people we have courses. And as a result, your interest became very important, and marketing was the main culprit. So we have a department only for marketing. And beyond marketing, we also have accounting and financing. We put them together, and I'll separate them. Accounting means that money comes into the company through your tuition, through government support, and money comes out in paying people. So paying me for my service, paying the workers to clean our facility, paying operation managers to make sure that the lights are correct, paying the government to make sure that our electricity doesn't get cut off, our water is clean. All these things have to be done with accounting. And in some cases, we also have finance that takes the money and thinks about ways to invest on it, thinks about ways to save on it, thinks about ways to be the bank. Okay. And when we need money from the bank, the finance department will come in and say, okay, well, now we need a loan. So they write up a loan. They talk about the interest loan. They talk about the payment system. And eventually they will give us the money that's needed. And last but not least, in the 21st century, we need another guy. And the other guy is IT. Okay. We all use IT. If there's no IT, you know how this class is going to look like? Anyone want to guess? Like this. Boom. Where did the teacher go? There's no IT. That means, of course, I will not be here. Okay. So IT allowed me to design this class. IT allowed me to go online. IT allowed me to also be able to develop an eCentennial program. And IT allowed me to have Zoom. Okay, so all these things that make life a little bit easier, for you guys, all came with the help of IT department. So when you look at the first one, okay, of human resources, human resources is very straightforward. A human resource manager or human resource department, they want to see that the workers have skills and capabilities necessary to run a company. Okay, they want to make sure that you know what you're doing every day, you know your position, you know your title, and you can do it. You want to staff the workers, you want to tell them exactly when they need to work, how they need to work, and beyond. You want to recruit and select the right amount of people. So again, human resource managers are responsible for monitoring and implementing that all together. They are constantly recruiting and selecting new employees. So again, they post ads on things like Indeed, on online human resource websites, and let them know that we're hiring people. And if you're interested, apply. So a lot of times they do that all together. They monitor the performance of the company. They monitor exactly how well we're doing it. So they want to make sure that, if you're not coming on time, we will talk to you about it. If you are not doing the work that's needed, we'll talk to you about it. If you're having conflict with another individual, we will help you. Okay. So all these things are a very important subject. A lot of times they also help you with a succession plan. Succession plan means that in some cases you might be fired, and when you're let go, we have to replace you. Or they might see that you are really a good employee, and they'll take you from an entry level position all the way to management, and from management all the way to director, from director all the way to vice president or senior vice president. And throughout your succession, there's positions that you give up. So when I'm an entry level analyst for the company, I graduated from Centennial College, and this is my first position. After 2.5 years, they realized, why don't you become a manager? So because they wanted me as a manager, I then applied, and they had to have a plan that says, okay, Yoav is going to be a manager. Why don't we bring in, say, another individual and let that individual, be replaced for the job that Yoav did? Okay. So there has to be some succession plans. And most importantly, they have to create policies around, compensation and benefits. Okay. So what that means is that we are compensated for the work that we do. And we want to make sure that when we are compensated, we're compensated correctly. Okay. In most cases, sometimes government organizations, you know exactly what you're making, but, but, in other companies, they will always tell you that your salary is negotiable, meaning that you have a salary in mind that you want. They have a salary in mind, and they will ask you in the interview, what is your salary expectation? And you have to tell them in front of, this is how much I want to get paid. Okay. And a lot of times, they might say, well, you either didn't do the research, or it's below what we are looking for, or even it's above what we're looking for. And if that happens, it might mean that you might not get hired. Okay. So a lot of times, if you and the company, via the human resource management, agree on a compensation package, let's say we'll start you off as an entry level analyst at $50,000. Then what will happen is that we put you on a plan. We create benefits for you. So it's not just, I'm getting paid $50,000 for, let's say, 52 weeks of the year. Let's say something in the range of $1,000 a week. I'm also getting vacation, meaning that I can leave for 2 weeks in a year. Okay. At any time. Maybe I'll leave in early January, and then another vacation, let's say to go to the Philippines. And let's say we hire Abigail, and Abigail wants to go to the Philippines for a week, even though it's a very far, distance. Maybe she wants 2 weeks there, her choice. But nonetheless, of course, you go to abroad, and while you go abroad, you're still getting paid. So that's the idea of benefits. But beyond getting paid salary and vacation, you also want to get paid something else. Okay. Sometimes there's bonuses, and that's what HR does. Sometimes you want uh, health benefits. So health benefits, for example, eye care, health care, dental care, massages, okay, orthopedic, orthopedic shoes, whatever it might be, they will cover it for you. Okay, so that's another benefit. Okay, so there's so many benefits that you are supported by the company, and you need compensation benefits. Okay, so along the way, you simply do not want to make $50,000 a year for the rest of your life. You want to start at 50,000, and then when you do a good job, you're gonna come and see a review based on your performance. And if your performance is good, that might mean that you want to give a bonus in order to keep you. Because I mentioned when we talked about Apple, when people did not get paid well, they simply left Apple and went to another better opportunity. Okay. And beyond, of course, looking at human resources, another important part we look for is operations. Okay, operation managers turn resources that we have, whether it's manpower, whether it's parts, whether it's raw materials, whatever it is, resources, and they convert it into our goods and services. Okay, so we can have a company that's manufacturing an item, for example, like tangible product like an Apple iPhone. They convert resources and make Macs, iPhones, and beyond. Then we have intangible products, like for example, my healthcare, my hospital. They bring in doctors. They have equipment, and they convert it to make me healthier, even though I don't feel very well. Or even education. All right. In education, for example, I bring in a school. I have to build a school. I have to create classes, and I have to bring in qualified and certified teachers so that they can become your professors and instructors. Okay. So the quality has to be very high. Okay. What if I'm, allowing you to come in and all of a sudden I'm going to do this with my thumbs? We're not going to have a class. You're not going to enjoy the class. You as a stakeholder will complain. And as a result, the quality will go bad. And in turn, human resources will step in and say, "Hey, buddy, how come you're not doing the class properly, as we mentioned in the contract?" So that could be a problem. Okay. But regardless, operations look at supply chain, and the supply chain is that whether we're service or goods, we bring in a supply chain, and that supply chain supplies ourselves with, the supplier raw material. We put it together in manufacturing. We distribute the item properly, and eventually we get to the retailer so that the customers can engage in our products and buy. So all companies, irregardless of what they sell, service, non-service, tangible, non-tangible, they have to have some form of conversion in the resources. Okay. Whether it's labor, material, money, information, and beyond, they have to convert it into goods or services. And like we mentioned, some companies such as Apple, they convert resources and make intangible tangible products like the Macintosh books, iPhones, smartphones, smartwatches, and beyond. Others, like we mentioned, hospitals, convert intangible products. For example, like we make healthcare happen in our system, whether it's private or public hospitals. And the person who designs and oversees the transformation and the resources of our operation into goods and services is the operation manager. This individual or the whole department will make sure and are responsible for ensuring that products are of high quality. So you guys will get the best education possible, the best BUSN class ever. And based on the product and services, in many organizations, operation management includes managing your supply chains, controlling the delivery of raw materials and distribution of finished goods, and eventually getting to the final customer. Okay. All right. So we covered 2 out of the 6 items in the foundations of a business. And what I would like to do with you guys right now is to get this, a break. Let's take a break on the house and let's take a 10-minute break. So time right now is 5:20. Take a break till 5:30. And when we are back, we're going to talk about the different steps that are included in the other departments. We're going to put them together. I have a video that I'd like to show the company about the company. Too much talk about companies. I'm going to talk to you guys about operation management. Sorry, the foundations of business and the operations. And eventually, I'll show you guys what I have for you guys opened this week. And hopefully, we will continue later on. Does anyone have any questions? That's good. All right, take a break, guys. Enjoy, and we will be back. Thank you, Paham. We will be back momentarily. Okay, so enjoy your break, guys. Right. So when we talk about marketing and the enjoyment of marketing, marketing dictates not just about, we have a product, it's available, buy our products, we're promoting it. It also develops the way we price a product. Okay. So we look at pricing policies. We look at exactly what we're trying to sell the customer at the end of the day. And eventually, we're trying to see a little bit more on the quality. We're trying to see a little bit more about um, making sure that what we sell is what we're telling people. Okay, that we have high quality, that we have warranty, that we have, the items that you're looking for, and eventually delivering it properly without any problem. Okay, making sure that when we tell you that on sale today, there's a product that you want to buy, and all of a sudden you go to a store after traveling for like 30 minutes, you get to the store and they tell you, oh, not available. Okay, it's not there. But it's the first day of the sale and it's not there. Okay, so that raises a lot of concern, even ethical concerns. Okay, because sometimes companies might tell you something is available. You go there and then it's like it's not available for that price, but for something else it's available. So best luck. So sometimes that's not legal. Even in the gray area, there are companies that tell you the first 100 people will get a free gift, and then when you are there in the morning, you walk in, it's like, oh, already 100 people came, and you look around, it's like I'm the only one here. Where's my gift? So that becomes a problem in quality control and delivery. But most of the time they do promotions. They promote the product. They create word of mouth of your company. They create relationship management in making sure they understand the customer, they understand the environment they're in, they understand the vendors as well, and eventually they will deliver. So when we look at marketing, marketing consists of everything that a company does. Um, in order to identify its customer needs. So a lot of times they look at market research. They want to figure out exactly how to make a product, when to make a product, why we are going to make a product, and eventually design products to meet those needs altogether. So marketers develop the benefits and features of products, including price and quality control, including the quality of how well the product will be. They also decide on the best method of delivering the product to the customer. So it means, of course, in this day and age, do you want to buy the product on Amazon? Do you want to buy a product on the store? Do you want to buy a product in multiple ways? Sure, we can do that for you. Okay, so when you see a company like Coca-Cola, delivery is very important for them. Okay, you can go to a store, buy it. You can go to McDonald's and buy it. You can go to your vending machine and buy it. Okay, so many different areas that you can look at. So the best means of promoting and attracting the keen customer, and eventually managing the relationship with customers and make them aware of the organizational desire and ability to satisfy their needs altogether. Okay, so that's kind of what the marketing company does. Sorry, marketing department does. And then, of course, we have accounting. Okay, so accounting, now that we operate properly, now that we have the right people to do the job, and of course, now that we also have operations, what is next in line? Well, accountants. Accountants measure, accountants summarize and communicate financial and managerial information. So again, most companies are in the process of making things profitable. So accounts measure, summarizes, communicates financial and managerial information, and advises other managers on financial matters. Okay, so it tells like exactly if the company is profitable. It might mean we have good marketing plan, we have the best workers, we have the best operation, but we're still not making money. And that's a reality for many companies. Companies are not making any money, and that becomes a very problematic situation. So the two fields of marketing in most cases, guys, is that when you look at marketing, marketing has financial marketing, Financial accounts prepare financial statements, and they help users both inside a company, outside a company, investors, outside regulation, governments, assess the financial well-being and the strength of how well the company is. And then you have managerial accounting, where in managerial accounting, they prepare information such as reports about the company, reports on costs of the company, materials that's used in the production process, internal use, and so forth. And they want to make sure that based on the functional area of accounting, that in most reasonable companies, that they can be able to hopefully, as we saw in the beginning, create a profit. Okay, we want to make sure that our organization is profitable. If the company is not profitable, we're going to have a problem. And we want to make sure that it can be done without any problem. So whenever you start to look at these areas, especially in functional areas of business, one of the most important areas that we still have not talked about is finance. Okay, finance now helps us obtain, plan, and manage company funds. So we're making money. We made $20 for one product. That's a margin. We take that $20 and we ask ourselves, what are we going to do about it next? Okay. So we put it into a fund and we assess the company fund as needs. Okay. Meaning making sure that can that $20 be able to create new products? Can that $20 be able to be invested somewhere where we need it? Can that $20 be taken and used in a better situation? And if that answer is clear for you, that's where you look at assessing the funds needed and eventually making sure that you can do more for your money. Okay. So just as an example, a lot of companies, they reinvest the money back into the company, or they invested in public markets, and on the public market, their money earned creates growth. Okay. So, for example, if our company was to make an excess of $1 million after we covered all our necessary fees and all the necessary funds, we can take some of the money and put it into stock markets. And if the stock will grow, that means that we created a new revenue stream. Okay. So all of a sudden, we're making $20 per margin per product. At the same time, we're also making profits in another area. Okay. So eventually, many companies are in finance, they're banking almost. Okay. So when you look at companies like, Tim Hortons makes money out of the customers, buying from them every single day. They also make money from, of course, the end user. So they create, financial means. They create financial terms, conditions, and they eventually create a situation where they create extra money. Okay, so they give people loans. They start their own credit cards, and they go beyond that. Okay. So a lot of times when you track funds receipt times, you want to make sure that you're paying your money on time, and you want to plan and invest in your company to buy new equipment, to buy new infrastructure, to expand a little bit, to buy real estate. All these things are finance. Accounting, even though it handles numbers, finance decides on where the money will go at the end of the day. Okay. So finance involves planning for obtaining and managing company funds. Financial managers, a lot of times they address a lot of questions, such as how much money does the company need in order for them to expand. So again, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm very blunt. When we created the new ward, as I believe Nuna mentioned, the wing number A, money did not just grow on trees. Okay, I didn't take my favorite bean stalks and put them on the ground and wait tomorrow, and all of a sudden we had a new building. It came from somewhere, and it cost millions and millions of dollars to create that infrastructure. So what we have done is we were able to go and eventually create a new fund so that we were able to expand our operation. Okay, so what occurred here was that through the funding, we were able to go in and be able to save maybe 150 million $1 million from Centennial College, our fund, and with the help of the, say, Toronto government, $50 million, that would give us 200 million. And with the help, of course, of the Ontario government and the federal government, that pushes up to 100 million. So all of a sudden, that particular operation cost us 300 and yeah, $300 million. And that allowed us to create the work, the opening of the groundwork, the infrastructure, making, I think it was like, I think 6 floors. Okay. Putting it all together, making sense of it, making sure it's fully functional, making sure it's connected, it's safe, and eventually it's good to go. Okay. So again, guys, money does not grow on trees. You probably have heard about this from your parents. Money is not free. It comes from somewhere. Okay. So eventually, guys, we may have used some of our money that tuition students gave us after we covered and paying the teachers, the school, the overhead costs, the electricity, the water sewage systems. We took some of the money and reinvested it. And maybe for 10 years, we reinvested it into a fund. We started at 50, maybe $15 million, but as we grew, we put it in stock markets. We took a risk. That money grew, and now we had $150 million. Maybe 100 million was coming from students. 50 million was money that we earned from interest, stocks, and beyond. Okay, so that was what we would do with money. So question might be, how will the money be coming in? How and when will we pay back if we took a loan? Okay, took a loan from the government. What investment should be made in the plant and the equipment? And eventually, how well is the money being used at the end of the day? And last but not least, we cannot forget another important aspect of our idea on making sure we have the best company ever. We are in the informational age. We're in the, we call this the highway to the information age, the information superhighway. And everything we do today is based on information. Okay. Information is very, very lucrative. And even companies like with operation, accounting, finance, marketing that are and human resources, especially I forgot about those suckers that are involved. They all need IT. Okay. I need IT because they need computers to function. When I started working, my first position, knowing computers was not always optional. Okay. But now everything's computers. Okay. Our whole industry is computers. Okay. Our school is built on computers. Okay. Computers to control the lights, computers to make sure that when the teacher arrives in your class, be it Zoom, be it DLO, or be it in class, they need to have a computer ready. Okay. So they have to build a computer system, a network infrastructure, and make sure that they can implement security protocols so that they can develop user interfaces and different application programs for the customers to make it much easier to use. So information technology, a lot of times you have the department or managers. You might have seen them on campus. There's a full department that deals with student IT issues. And they're concerned with building a computer network and infrastructure in implementing security protocols and developing user interfaces so that we can have different programs for customers. So there is a high level of integration being done in IT between the businesses, especially on IT with websites. That is part of the IT and programs of application and other departments within the business, such as integrating finance, integrating marketing, integrated operation into one spot. So that means, of course, you need an IT person. So a lot of times when you look at IT allows us to be able to send information, to be able to have customers communicate with us, to be able to network the whole system and connect ourselves with our server so that our server could be reliable, useful, and eventually have information that could be done. Like always, does having a good, robust IT help us at the end of the day? Sure. But if we have a bad marketing program, if we have a poor operation, it doesn't matter how good IT is, we still have problems in our company. Okay. So what we have to realize that there are many business activities that we look for to make sure that we can do a really good job altogether. So when you look at the external forces and businesses, you have a lot of macro environmental effects, okay? And there's a lot of different industries in the Canadian environment, okay? So you have a lot of major industries in, say, people. You have major industries in natural resources, finance in Canada. You have major industries in different, technological areas, educational areas, and beyond. So when we talk about, and we'll talk more in detail, the macro environmental effects, it means that there's a drive and business activities based on the nature of our country, of our industry. So a lot of times, when you look at the food industry is really important because you have food companies like Taco Bell, Tim Hortons, McDonald's, and they have to follow standards that's given by the government. Another company and that company, the government, has the Canadian Food and Drug Inspection Agency. We call them CFA or CFDIA, CFIDA. And CFIDA wants to make sure that what you eat, whether it's coming from the farmer, whether it's coming from agriculture, whether it's coming from everywhere, has to be in the top quality. Okay. They want to make sure you're safe, but when they have their budget and they make a little bit more margin, they still have finance, they still have accounting, they still have the marketing, but they cannot regurgitate the money back into their company because they have to control all these other companies that work in our industry for profit. McDonald's works for profit. Taco Bell works for profit. Everybody works for something. Then, of course, you have things like food calorie count, where beyond food calorie count requirements, you have a ministry out there for health and long-term care. So, in the macro environmental area, you have a department that takes care of how much you eat, when you eat, where you eat it, and eventually how healthy the food might be. And you also have good corporate citizenship, okay? Trying to eliminate, for example, styrofoam containers, making sure there's new options, making sure that we're going to eat now in wooden uh, forks, okay? Guys, it's not the best, but come on, it's still better than nothing. And eventually having a system out there that we could do things that are a little bit better. So eventually, guys, when we put this macro environmental things together, as you guys can see, and what I'm trying to explain here is that when we look at influences, okay, um, influences of our environment, the macro environmental influence, we realize that we cannot always produce everything. And that's true. We cannot always produce everything because the problem is that even in Centennial College, we do not make Zoom. Zoom is a private company that we bought from. Our whiteboard comes from Staple. Our equipment comes from Granite Toy. Our furniture comes from the brick. Okay, everything comes from somewhere else. Okay, so we relied on it. Okay, and we cannot just go on a free for all. We have to follow rules, and the rules are it's coming from the Ministry of Education. The Ministry of Education, whatever program you have, they tell us exactly what we need to do. But we deal a lot with not for profit because even though we are not for profit, it doesn't mean everybody else is. So we work with companies like McGraw Hill. McGraw Hill is actually a company from the United States that what they do is they offer books to private and public sectors, okay, of education. So what that means is that they come into our school, and through the event of our bookstore, they sell students books. Okay, so the idea is we're a public company. We work for the government. However, we still offer things like these areas altogether, these books, so that you guys could benefit from it. Okay, and the same thing could be done when you look at what do you call it? When you look at the hospitals. Hospitals allow franchises like, Tim Hortons to set up shop there. Okay, so when you go for a meeting, you go for something, you still have Tim Hortons that you can grab on the go. But beyond that, we also have, private companies like Pfizer and all these medical companies that provide items for us. So what happens here is that there's a lot of influence that we're connected to this whole macro environmental society. So what this means is that changes in income, preference in food, the types of food that we're dealing together, changes in the government requirements, all these things all together, they play such an important role in which they create an environment for us. Okay. So when we started our class early on, we started talking a little bit about entrepreneurship, and a lot of you guys might be considering one way or another, should I get into a company or not? So to answer that question, I have a very quick video for you guys, and that video will highlight a little bit more about how to start a business. And now that you know that you need departments, you need specialty, you need managers, this is how you decide on going and starting a company. Take a look, enjoy, and please, guys, with a thumbs up on your emojis, let me know if you can hear our video, okay? Because sometimes on Zoom it's a bit wobbly. Take a look and enjoy.
Many of us want to start our own
Thank
businesses.
you.
Public space is filled with reports
Thanks,
of
Abigail.
new ventures, but the reporting on entrepreneurship is heavily skewed in one particular direction, towards people who've started new kinds of businesses, pioneers who've pushed the boundaries of commerce by creating a wholly new offering, usually through the help of some form of innovative piece of technology. The new entrepreneurs might, for example, have invented an app for measuring and controlling the humidity of clothes closets, or they might have come up with a tiny sensor that can detect hunger in domestic animals, or they've built a social platform to connect people planning a trip to Italy. This emphasis on novelty can leave us feeling that the chief and correct way to become an entrepreneur is invariably going to be through radical, technologically based innovation. We may therefore, as we contemplate an entrepreneurial future, ask ourselves with increasing panic what entirely unthought of idea we might ourselves come up with to propel us forwards. In our frenzy, the answers we arrive at may start to lean towards the implausible, the trite, or the naive. But there is another path. Most of the economy is made up of businesses doing stuff that people have always been doing, or have been doing for a very long time. Making daily bread or shirts or trousers, teaching languages or giving travelers a bed for the night, raising animals or fixing teeth. In other words, most businesses operate in areas that economists call mature, sectors where it's rather hard to come in and make a surprising fortune. But that doesn't mean these sectors should be ignored. Far from it. There are a plethora of hugely meaningful possibilities hiding for us in plain sight on account of one, perhaps surprising fact about the economy. A majority of businesses don't love what they do. We might make a basic distinction between two kinds of businesses: pragmatic businesses and businesses of love. Pragmatic businesses are everywhere. They almost define for us what we think business is in its essence. They know how to make their product or service with a sound degree of competence, but there is a practical, unidealistic edge to the way they go about things. There isn't anything very powerful drawing them to their particular offering. They might easily have been doing something else. They don't care about the long term. The business is only a vehicle for an underlying financial purpose. One eye is always focused on how to sell up. If the owners didn't have to work, they almost certainly wouldn't. Such pragmatic businesses may do fine, or even very well, for a long time. But the motivations are easy enough to spot. A discerning eye can tell something crucial within minutes of walking through the door. This is not being done with or for love. Pragmatic businesses dominate the economy. One might say that over 85% of businesses fall into this category. But there are parts of the economy, and they are heavily in the minority, where things are being done rather differently. Businesses of love produce many varied things, but there are some underlying principles holding them together. Here, love means a total commitment to excellence of a given product or service, a desire to reinvest almost all profit into guaranteeing this excellence, a focus on the long term, because the business is, for its owners, the meaning of life. There is no interest in selling the firm right now, or perhaps ever. The dearest wish might be to give it to someone you love, like your child. Love means you'd almost do it for free, and don't only because you need to live. You need to pay your employees, and you want the business to be able to last into the long term. The product or service is what you love, and you love it inordinately. Businesses of love are the sort where the owner has scoured the world for the best kind of flour and wakes up excitedly at dawn to check on the progress of each of the loaves. Or the aircraft factory, where the workers think of every plane they're building almost like a relative they will always care for. Or the stationery shop, where notebooks and paper are viewed as objects of beauty rather than utility. Or the travel agency that won't rest until it knows its clients have enjoyed their trips rather than just paid for them. Or the sandwich store that views a fine avocado and chicken roll as one of the authentic joys in a tricky life. Businesses run for love are not always successful in the standard financial sense of the term. Some might just be returning a little over 3% a year. But for these enterprises, money is only ever a means to a greater, more purposeful end. There are huge opportunities to hand for any would-be entrepreneurs, because most of the economy is in the hands of people who don't love what they're doing. Most law firms, dentists' offices, hotels and bakeries aren't in it for love. They may be efficient and canny, but they are ultimately just waiting to sell up. We don't need to be very original to succeed. We don't need to have invented anything very new. We just need to make sense of our lives and make an honest living along the way, to offer the world something we love a little more intensely than most people do.
Thank you for commenting, liking, and subscribing. Our book.
All right, no need for that. All right, so in any case, guys, what I do want to mention going forward, we are done our class, we're done our session on it. Before we're done, a couple of key takeaways that I want to kind of talk about is that throughout our class, you're always going to see the week-by-week schedules and the deliverables available for you guys. So what you would need to do is you need to go in and complete them. So a couple of things that are available, and I'll show you my side of the tray and eventually help you guys out. If you go into our class, and within our class, I'm just gonna quickly jolt in, not the Zoom, please. Within our class, we'll see the week number 2, okay? And what's gonna happen is that it kind of pegs around the week number 1 and the current week's deliverables. So under overview, you will see a little bit more about the information, a task. If you want to read over areas and look over the PowerPoint, it is available. And definitely it gives you a what's ahead, okay? From there, what you're going to see is you're also going to see beyond the overview, content and activities that are available for us. So learning activities, student success, and the stress management and teamwork building. So again, every single week there will be something new, something more interesting that will fly in, and even the module is available for you guys. So all you have to do is read over it, review it, and on your own be able to complete it. Okay. So I have a summary of what we talked about. I have all the necessary steps, and even now, I will tell you about the what's coming up ahead of us. So by next week, you know exactly that when we're gonna join, we're gonna be in class on the Friday. You know that I'm gonna prepare you guys, and hopefully by the time we're ending our class today, I will start showing you guys all the items that's available for our third class. Okay. So a third class and a third week and a third chapter. So chapter number 3, economics, fundamental of business economics. And we'll talk about that as well. And that leads you over into the business unit and what we discussed last week. So that's available for you guys. So if you guys want to review it, read it over and see for yourself, that is available. So all you have to do is click on it and you are good to go. Beyond that, I also left for you guys the activities. So you have up until January 27th, a chapter number 2, Foundation of Business quiz. According to them, 10 questions with multiple choice, true and false questions. 1 question per page. You got 30 minutes. You can start at any time. Okay. Make sure you start it when you're mentally focused. Make sure you complete it by the 27th. So today, guys, it's like the 19th. You have like 12 days to complete it. So please make sure to complete it on time. However, there's also another quiz coming from the second week, which talks about the same thing, chapter number 1. So the same thing, guys. You have until the 27th. Again, I'm not telling you guys to do it, one by one, but please try to complete it on time. Okay. So by that time, will be the third deliverable. And eventually what that leads us into is if you would like to review the chapter, it's available online here. And you can read over what we discussed today. Okay. Everything we talked about from Apple to the teams and beyond. And last but not least, I believe that's all for the first chapter. Yeah. And that is all that I'm going to give you for this point in time. So what's going to happen is that, by Monday, if you would like to join us in the class, the class will still be open. However, I'm going to give you time that the 2 hours that's allocated for Monday. I'm going to give you those hours to complete your assessment. So basically, what I'm doing for you guys is that I'm crunching in with your blessing. I'm crunching in our current class, okay, making sure that you get the most out of our session. And then what I'm gonna do is on Monday, starting Monday morning, or even by Sunday evening, everything from the third week will be available. So you can go in, see exactly what you need to complete, possibly complete things for the second week, or possibly start the third week on a good note. And then when we're here on our DLO class, the online Friday class, you can complete it. So the Monday class, guys, we switch it over. What's going to happen is that even though we have availability for our class, you can come in or you can do it wherever you like. Complete the assessments. Make sure you complete it on time. Make sure you're on top of your game. Review the material, and eventually that will help you out within your understanding of our class. Okay. So guys, it came. I saw. I conquered. Does anyone have any questions for me? 301-284-707. Any questions? No thanks. All right. Is everybody on the same page? Ooh, I got one question. Oh, good. One person's got in, said, the assessment are the quizzes, right? Yes, you are correct. The assessments for now are the quizzes. Also, guys, I was a little bit neglectful on it, but do go into communications and do complete the discussions as well. So on week 1 activity, a lot of you guys, wow. You guys completed the activities. I love it. I have a second one for you guys. Okay, right here. And I'm gonna see what was improved. I'll see what goes on it. But you can also start to complete it as well here. Okay, week number 2. conflict management questions, and I have a question for you guys. So you guys can start working on it. Okay. Give me your input. See what other students are saying about it, and eventually, every so often, week number 4, 5, 6, and 9, I'm going to give you some questions, and your goal is to complete them. Okay. Is there any assignments due other than the quizzes? Yes, there will be assignments due, but not now. Okay. Within the 5th or 6th week, I'm going to release the assignments, and you will complete them. But please remember, on top of the assignments, there's also a test. The test will be available in week 7. So week 7, week 14, we don't have any classes. What you will do is that I'm going to open up a test, and you can take the test anytime. But for now, only complete what's given on the week by week schedule. And to do that, all you have to do is go to contents, okay, and go to the week number 2, and all you have to do is complete them. Okay, so that's what I'm asking for you guys as of now. Any other questions? It's good. Don't be shy. I won't bite. All right. Okay, so guys, we saw we came, we conquered. We are done for now. If you still want to talk to me about anything, I will still stick around for the time being. But if not, we can call it a week. You guys were awesome. I hope that you are enjoying the class. This is the second class we are together. I hope that you're enjoying the most of it. And making the enjoyment as an all DLO class. Okay. It's very exciting. It's very unique, and it will definitely help you on later on. So it's just the quiz and the assignments of which will be graded. No, Haman, it's the quiz, the assignment, discussions as well, and we're gonna have a test as well. Okay, so those are very, very important. Okay, so please make sure that every week, you come on when you are available. You get the time on Monday. You look and see what we're doing, and then on Friday, if you have any clarifications, any questions, that's what I'm here for, and I'm here to help you guys. Okay. So I pushed most of our conversation to the end, and I'm giving you guys most time on the Mondays, in the whole week to complete it so that you will be up to date. But try to follow the point by point instructions, guys. You're welcome. David, you have a good one. There was another guy, 30128. I'm not sure who you are, but you have a good one as well. Tejinder, take care. Haman, did I clarify for you? Bye. Take care. You too.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, Haman. And Haman, we switch it, okay? So we're having the class on Fridays. The Monday session is mostly a catch up for completing the assignments. So I'm giving you 2 hours freedom to do that as well. All right, guys, take care. All the best. You guys were amazing. Have an amazing weekend. The weekend is here. Make the most of it. And I'll see you guys here next week. Bye for now. You too, guys. Take care. All
Hi,
the best.
Prof. Sorry, just want to check because since I have already posted the discussion, the one that you are trying to um us to finish though, but of course it says there that it will be posted or once you like activate
Approving.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you be able to see if my name is already there just to make sure? Because of course, when I posted it, I'm not so sure it if it was really posted. So I just want to make sure, sir.
In discussion number 2.
Yeah, the teamwork.
Right. Badel, Abigail, Lovely, Patan.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah,
that's
you're here. You're
thank
here.
you.
Yeah, and
Thank
what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go in. I know there's like I have to moderate it, so I'll probably approve it and I'll release it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
You're very welcome. Take
Thank
care.
you. Yep,
All the
take
best.
care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye for now. All right, let's see what to do here. Take care, guys. Thank you so much. You have yourself a good one.